In this video, it's time to bring back the hot knife. This video is sponsored by Blackmagic and DaVinci Resolve. More about them later in the video. Nearly 1 year ago, I made these in a timed hot knife foam carving challenge, which now has almost 1 million views. And I challenged you to like the video, and with 100,000 likes, I'd make something epic out of it. You didn't do it. There was only 72,000 likes. Is this what you wanted? This is what you get when you don't hit like, when I ask you to. It's okay, don't worry. I don't hold it against you, I hold it against myself, because let's be honest, they're pretty awful. If there's anything I like, it's a good redemption arc, which is why in this video, I'm gonna do it again without rushing, with more foam. Now, I did pull this out at a very deceptive angle. It's not a cube. But Gareth has pointed out that this is kind of the shape of a dragon's head. I think I'm overdue for a big bloody dragon project. But I don't need the whole width for a dragon head. So I'm gonna cut this in half and we'll figure out what sort of shape this stuff can make together. Just pointing out our safety approach. We have a giant fan at the other end of the room, stopping any fumes getting into the building, and an immediate fan directly in front of where I'm cutting to push all of the smoke out of the building. And we're wearing respirators and goggles. Safety first. It's very windy in here. That's pretty dragony. What is this then? Is this a hero standing up against it? Oh, what if it's like padding? What if it's like making a friend? I'm getting Toothless vibes. Toothless is cool, but if I'm doing Toothless, I sort of have to do Hiccup. Maybe it's like that, upright. I'm gonna be honest, detail and accuracy, I don't know about that. It's gonna be tricky because the detail is really hard to keep. Like you can see, this is where I cut it. There's a lot of texture along the bumps of where I cut, and it creates these warping like holes of molten styrofoam. So it's gonna be a challenge. It's almost like I need to lean into that and do like a statue. Now, I'm getting started taking out chunks of these giant foam pieces. I had to keep in mind not to take out too much. You see, there are two kinds of sculpture: additive sculpture and reductive sculpture. Additive sculpture is like clay, where you have a material, you can add more, you can take it away. This is reductive sculpture, where it's difficult or impossible to add any material back in once it's removed. Stone carving, wood carving, and foam carving is all reductive sculpture. So I can, if I'm forced to, try and patch up some areas, but in general, it's best to play it on the safe side as you go. I have left these things for almost an hour. I don't trust that the glue is super dry, so I'm just gonna tape these joins together. Toothless. We're good, I got it. You guys think I just do that because I'm clumsy? No, we script it in. Makes me relatable. It's in the video script. We plan it all out. All the little goofs and gaps. Okay, I think that's gonna hold. Getting a good result is just gonna come down to spending time and using the right tools. The right tools makes everything much easier, which is why I'm grateful this video is sponsored by DaVinci Resolve. All of our videos use DaVinci Resolve. We love DaVinci Resolve, and it's free. So whether you run a studio like we do, or you're an independent content creator, or you're editing your first stream or vlog, or you're a Hollywood blockbuster studio, DaVinci Resolve has you covered. From all the intricacies, detail, complexities, and power you could possibly want in the edit tab, the color tab, the special effects and fusion, the audio editing and music compositioning and refining and mixing and mastering in the Fairlight tab, or if all of that is pretty intimidating, you can use the cut tab. That combines all of the elements of DaVinci Resolve in a beginner-friendly single package. Blackmagic's products take you from the very beginning of your journey to wherever you could possibly want to go. Their software caters to all kinds of video production, and as a company, they are dedicated to video production. It is free to download. DaVinci Resolve 17, they're always coming out with new features, and everything Blackmagic makes is just amazing. My life is filled with Blackmagic. I just used Blackmagic using DaVinci Resolve. Oh, what? All right, I should get back to to put some magic into these now. Oh, ooh, this is gonna be a big one. Let's go. All right, now we're getting into the meat of the project. Blocking out the pieces and trying to make them come to life. Starting off with pretty broad strokes, as it were, cutting the larger chunks away and trying to find the shape of the creation that lies within. And sometimes that lies externally, because, you know, I didn't have a piece of foam that was long enough to be Hiccup's arm, so I had to glue pieces of foam to other pieces of foam. And it's pretty awkward, because it takes a while to set and dry, pretty unstable, and it's also way more fragile doing it this way. But it seemed to be working, and that is how I had to do some of this stuff, using liquid nails and toothpicks to hold them in place while it's set, and hope that it holds together through to the end of the project. And with the core geometry of both figures in place, it was time to refine. And this is the hard bit, because the hot knife, let's just say it's not a tool ready for real finessing. It's really hard to shape smoothly, and as soon as you try to use the heat of the gun, often to sort of soften the surface and create some sort of smoother contour, it overmelts and then almost like candifies the surface, so it's harder to cut through and melt. So it was tricky, and I just had to decide to really lean into a rough, ancient sculpture vibe with this piece. So I've got a whole bunch of PVA glue. I'm gonna add a little bit of water and a bunch of ink. This is basically gonna act like a bit of a base coat to get started. Let's paper mache this baby. Montage 5! Well, that didn't work. It turns out paper towel is much thicker and more absorbent than toilet paper, which is why it's always loo roll and glue. Has to be loo roll and glue. Don't mess with the classic. Let's start again. Loo roll and glue. Second time's a charm. It'll be fine. Let's go. Go! Now I need it to dry before I can finalize these pieces. To the door, he looks like my dance partner. Just don't fall over. Let's put it over here. It's very goopy. All right. Need to go wash up. And now that we're fully done with our hot knife, doesn't mean we're done with the fumes. All right, let's go. With both pieces covered in TP and glue, and with that base coat color mix in to help it along the way, I started off by patching up some of the gaps that were left with a dark spray paint, which was weirdly perfectly matching. And then I started to play with my spray paints, mixing in a little bit of a reddish tone in the shadowy areas and slowly gradienting up to highlights. And finally, I found a great mid-tone stone color that I used to sort of blend in and make everything a little bit flatter and more stone and even looking. And finally, going back to that shadow color to add a little bit more selective shading to really shape out these pieces. Now we get to the really punchy stuff. These next few steps are so simple and do so much. Starting off with a dry brush. This really accentuates that stone texture you get from the loo roll and glue layering and helps further accentuate the highlights and make the piece pop. Then I improvised a little bit. I use these things called color oxides. You can get them from the hardware store. It's basically used to color concrete, but they have really earthy colors, and mixing a few of those to find the right tone, I kind of just dabbed these in shadow areas and lower areas, kind of making it look dirty and earthy. This worked really well to tie it into a more natural look and made it look a little less flat gray. And then the magic of it was that I ran a wet brush over the top areas and let the drips carry that color oxide down the statue to make it look like centuries of weather and rain have been dripping down these statues. And last but not least, this was the magic step. This last step, adding the flock and mossy look to the surface areas in some of the nooks and crannies, really cemented this piece's aesthetic as a relic lost to time, telling the tale of the adventure that a young boy went on the day he met a dragon. Good, Toothless. Good boy. I am so happy with this. I had no idea where I was going at the start of the video. And the thing I'm really stoked about is this is the perfect like starter statue to go right up on top of there, on top of the, we could put it up there to block the hot water heater. Hey look, fast forward to the future, there it is. It's got a new home. Yay. This was really fun. Those final steps to take it from random geometric looking sculpture to ancient relic worked really well, and I'm stoked. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more fun with art and creativity, you know what to do. Subscribe, join the arty party, and I'll see you in the next video.